is Matthew Hashiguchi, and I directed and produced The Lower Nine, A Story of Home, which is a short documentary on New Orleans and the Lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans. And so far the film has played in about 8 festivals around the country. And I'm really excited to bring it to Cleveland because this is my hometown. I grew up here on the east side, and I was especially excited to be able to share this with my friends and family members and supporters. Overall, there's been a positive reaction. I think it's made a bit different from traditional films. So I think people that appreciate my film are people that are more geared towards experimental films or art films. I'm a trained photojournalist, so I made this with photography in mind. I wanted to create imagery where people were dwelling on the scene and dwelling on the lack of life in the Lower Ninth Ward. So I approached this project sort of as a photographer, not so much as a filmmaker, but as a photographer. So now I'm trying to transition into filmmaking more than photography. I'm hoping that Cleveland realizes that there is issues around the United States that are very similar to the issues here. Cleveland has a problem with plight and abandoned housing, and New Orleans is facing that same thing where neighborhoods are being forgotten. Neighborhoods are being left to be taken over by nature, and that's very much a problem here in Cleveland, where we have many houses that are without inhabitants and many people that are having to move farther out of the city, and that's happening in New Orleans. And I think there's many similarities between the economic problems of both cities. When we were filming The Lower Nine, we would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and go into as many abandoned houses that we could find. And many times these houses it looked like they were leaning on their last wood paneling. So many of them were tilted, and we didn't know if they were going to fall over. And more than a couple times we fell through the floors and were just stopped by the ground level of the neighborhood. So many times we went in these homes not knowing what we'd find or if they would fall on us, literally. And luckily they didn't. But there were a couple times where we literally fell through the floor and kind of rushed out of there very quickly. One thing that I learned from filming in New Orleans, and filming this story in particular, is I went down with an idea in mind that I wanted to come away with. I went down to New Orleans, set in what to capture, what sort of stories to look for, and I came away with what I sought to accomplish. But part of me wishes I would have followed stories that I did not intend to find, and if I had followed those stories, it would have been a much different film, and sometimes I wonder if it would have been a better film. So I would encourage people to go where the wind blows. Don't be prepared to change. Be prepared, but be prepared to adjust. And sometimes you will end up with a better result. The most applause-worthy aspect of The Lower Nine is that there is a good amount of negative memories that are associated with New Orleans and Katrina, but what I found very inspiring was that people are looking at the positives. They're looking at ways to dig out of the hole. And I think that inspired me, and I think it inspires the audience as well, where they hear these very troubling stories of growing up in poverty or going through the actual experience of the storm, but they're able to look at it in a very positive and cheerful manner. So I think they've learned to look at the brighter side of things, and it certainly allowed me to look at the brighter side of life.